right, made it in time. Look at that. Cool. Let's see if I can find that one. Let's do that one. All right, welcome everyone. Whoopsie, just hit my machine. I probably broken it. Probably have. All right, cool. Nope, it's all good. All right, let me switch to this. Give me 17 seconds, fam. This is Rap Raven, your host of the Black Betterment broadcast. It's going to go to our normal intro for those who are new. For those who are not new, you know what we're going to do, but it's what we're going to do. So let's switch it up. There we go. All right, welcome everyone. Greetings, all. Big up, brother Ultra. This is a Black Betterment broadcast, the 65th show, it looks like. So 65 straight weeks. Take a give of trying to connect with Black people to form Betterment. Not easy, but then again, not hard. All right, cool. So this is our intro. Unfortunately, after much research, I've unfortunately concluded that collectively, Black people are collectively inadequate. Very important word there, collectively inadequate. So if that is the truth, then something needs to be done. That's right. So when we try to find solutions for this truth, when we're gonna communicate, especially today, we're gonna try to use the 4D values. Now, what is the 4D values? I hear many people say inside, not necessarily outside. Well, that's discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Very important. Super important. Ah, yes, very important. We're going to see if we can use these skills and these values to help Black people. Many of our people have been mesmerized with, malicious ways and those kind of stuff. And we want to try to make sure that when we communicate, we have a decent way of doing it, a constructive way. Fantastic. This also, if we can minimize and not use colorless language, if possible. And that sometimes we'll play videos where this is going on as for research purposes. But I recommend when we're trying to be constructive, we don't use such language, especially when you talk to Black people. Definitely don't do it then. We start a late UK time because that way, if we do get some late night language, it's okay. But generally, we don't recommend it, especially if we're trying to find solutions for Black people. There you go. All right. So, for those who don't know, Black Betterment is Black people helping Black people on Black issues for betterment. Very important. As we start the show, unfortunately, Black people are collectively inadequate currently. So we need an easy framework of how to achieve betterment. And I'm pushing forward within this broadcast the lifestyle of Black Betterment. That's right, an actual dedicated lifestyle where trying to find solutions and network with other Black people to better the community is what we are pushing forward. Fantastic, excellent. So this is a little disclaimer I have to do it today because we will be showing some videos. A copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976 allows is made fair use purposes such criticism, comment, use report, scholarship, research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing non-profit, educational, personal use tips to balance in the favor of fair use. Blah, blah, blah. Excellent, good stuff. Fantastic. Yes. We'll skip that for now. We'll skip this for now. We'll skip that for now. And we'll skip that for now. So today, this is part 3. But we're segueing into a separate part of the topic, but it's similar. We're going to cover both, but we're going to mainly focus from a video standpoint on the motivations behind B.P.S, which is Black Progress Saboteurs. Many of them around, and what are they? We shall go through that, and also we will talk about Black men who hate Black women, and vice versa. This is part 3 of that, and we definitely want to get more women talking on this issue. We might do a part 4, we might not, who knows? Let's do. But the reason why we're going to do segue into that is because it's important and something you have to understand. I won't sugarcoat the stuff. If you ever try to help Black people, the chances are you have to be very, very cautious of non-Black people, but you have to be even more cautious of Black people because a lot of Black people have been trained to distrust Black people, which to a certain extent might be normal. Maybe, but also you have many people where that distrust turns into an active a self-hating mechanism, and there's many reasons that we can cover that, and we should go over it. I did invite a few people on who do practice self-hatred. Well, as I did, they'll say it's not hatred. As you know, I regularly talk in Black forums, and I don't shy away from talks about Black betterment. And when I get into and I do that, I do invite people, and you get the odd person who isn't best pleased with myself, and they might think I'm a fraudster and this kind of stuff. And I always invite them to talk just to make sure that what they feel isn't internal and it is actually from things they're picking up and they can express themselves. So if you are that person or persons who I invited, feel free today and let me know. Just say hi and I'll give you the link to jump in for us to debate whether Black Betterment and Rap Ravens, the methods of achieving betterment is decent and in good taste for Black people. And we can discuss it. And always welcome in a constructive way, of course. Now, what we're going to do, though, is we're going to break down. This is important. There are two types of saboteurs. I've mentioned it a few months ago, but there's two you have to be aware of. And we have to talk about how do we deal with them and what's the best methods. We will have our opinions. I should give you mine. But for today's show, we focus on the two types. Now, the two types of sabotages, all right? These are the two types, all right? So I've put them in many different ways, but let's break it down. You have the back of the mind sabotage and the front of the mind sabotage. So what we're saying is there are some people to the left, the back of the mind sabotage, where they live in a system or a framework of everyday absorbing certain information that whenever they see Black people trying to fix Black issues, they automatically think this is wrong and they start conjuring up oh, you're going to be violent, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, all this kind of stuff like that. And the reason is this has been taught to them from a history of anti-Black racism and this kind of stuff from all over the world, and it trains, it forces a certain fear in many Black people, and you have to understand how to overcome all this kind of stuff. For entry-level Black betterers or just Black people in general, they will have this kind of fear of helping people. You got to understand that many people in this world die. They might die because they go to war. They might die because they climb a mountain, and then they might die because they try to help Black people. That's what it comes down to, really. Many of the great Black leaders were murdered because they wanted equality for Black people. That was the crime. So this was a form of training that many people get scared of, and they try to make sure that Black people stay in the place. And I'm talking about Black people thinking this. So naturally, you have that. So you have unconscious sabotage and conscious sabotage, unintentional sabotage and intentional sabotage. So we break that down. The unconscious saboteur, they'll believe that something you're doing is wrong or you're up to mischief or you can't be trusted, and they'll actively speak against it. If you ever see me Speaker's Corner, I'm confronted many times by unconscious, as I would like to see, saboteurs. But then the ones that are that probably a slightly more, I don't want to say dangerous, but definitely more planned are the conscious, and the motivation behind the conscious varies. So the two I want to highlight: one, there is the paid opposition, where an anti-Black person, a person who doesn't want to see Black people progress for some particular reason, will hire someone within the community, a Black person or a Black shelled person, the outer shell's Black and stuff, and these people will be paid to actively undermine Black progress, and it's hit for hire, that kind of stuff. So this is understood. We have this is something to. The other one is the saboteur who actually is aware what you're doing is good, but through hatred, internal hatred, or a form of historical jealousy, maybe highlighting the inadequacies in themselves and the fear of actually being dedicated to Black people, they then too become a conscious, front of the mind, intentional saboteur. That's a very unique one. I'm confronted with them many times. Some of them, we have to really break down the history and why that is. And I invite many people who I suspect who might suffer from this form of deliberate sabotage behavior on the show. They very rarely do on the show. I'm trying to make it as pleasant as possible. We have the code. I try to speak kind of correctly, but many people don't want to actually face me one-to-one. I don't necessarily think it's what I'm saying. I think it's just the consistency of the messages that usually might scare people. So we always try to make people feel comfortable. So if we do get these people jump on, let's try to make them feel at home. If we can, for people in the forums, people jump on, just so we can actually reason with them of why they might actually become self-hating. Now, what we're going to do, let's see if there's any other things. Nope, we're good. Okay, we'll leave that for now. What we're going to do, we're going to look at two videos. Like I said, if there's anyone who wants to jump on now, please let me know in the forum, because then I can throw out the links and this kind of stuff. Because sometimes I show videos and talk for very long, and then it takes up time for the community. Because a big part of this show is the Black people community who listen. They are important, and whatever they want to do, we shall do, as long as it's constructive and they can jump on and add the 10 pence piece. But let me know, because I don't know, and I can talk forever. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to look at two types of saboteurs. As you might think about being harsh on one of them, maybe not. And I'm just going to break down quickly. One, we're going to have, as you know, I'm not too sure if CNN will strike my video, so I've had to do a new blacker rhythm. I don't know what to call this certain style. Rewind. But I've taken CNN and just thrown some black stuff and just so the algorithm, because obviously algorithms don't show discernment. So even though we're not using the stealing people stuff, the algorithms might take it off the internet. So we blackified it just so it doesn't. But, you know, I'm sure in the future they'll get around this. But voila. So I'm going to stop and start. So basically this is in America, Don Lemon and Terry Crews, I believe. And they're talking about a concept, Black Lives Matter, some issue with Black Lives Matter. This isn't really about Black Lives Matter. This is more so about how Terry Crews interprets Black Lives Matter, this kind of stuff. So let's play. Let's big up Sister Kushti. Big up. Now we're supposed to play. Very important. Okay.
Everybody, please listen to this segment because actor and activist Terry Crews facing backlash for tweeting, "We must ensure Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better." Here's how he explained it.
Okay, so another thing, whenever black people come together, you do get those the unconscious saboteur. Once again, I show you they start reeling talking points from anti-black people from the past, and when black people come together, oh, they're going to do horrible things, and they spew this out. The reason why this is problematic to do this is the equivalent of walking into a house where a baby is being born, and there's a husband and a wife, and then you just start inserting, oh, I hope your husband isn't a pedophile. It's really it takes the whole conversation somewhere where there's no evidence for that. There's no reason why you would say that. And even if it's true what you feel, why have you brought it up? And this is the training, and this is the awkwardness, and why you must always, many black people, black bearers, are defensive because, every time they try to do something, this stuff starts coming, and some people become disparaged. So let's carry on, listen in, play.
Are all white people bad? No. Are all black people good? No. Knowing this reality, I stand on my decision to unite with good people, no matter the race, creed, or ideology. Given the number of threats against this decision, I also decide to die on this hill. Terry Crews joins me now. Terry, man, you stepped in it. You say that you're willing. Yeah. You say you're willing to die on this hill. You've taken a lot of heat for this. Explain what you were thinking and why it's so important that you die on this hill.
Well, again, I wanted to bring up the fact that, there are some very, very, militant type forces in Black Lives Matter. And what I was issuing was...
So once again, this going down this kind of path of trying to go to the most negative equation isn't necessary. I haven't seen any kind of militant in Black Lives Matter. Not at all. If anything, a very harmless collective group.
So warning. It's one of those things where I've been a part of different groups, I've been a part of different things, and you see how extremes can really can go far and can go wild. And then when you issue a warning, and when a warning is seen as detrimental to the movement, how can you ever have checks and balances?
So this is non-black identified people, and they identify through different people groups, and that's why they always lead this kind of way.
In the 60s and 70s, airplanes went down all the time, and the reason they found out why they did was because the pilots could never be questioned. And when you have the leaders of the Black Lives Movement who are now talking about, if we don't get our demands, we're going to burn it down. Other black people who are talking about working with other whites and other races, they're being viewed as sellouts or called Uncle Toms. You start to understand that you are now, being controlled. You're not being treated as love. You're actually being controlled. Someone wants to control the narrative. And I viewed it as a very, very dangerous self-righteousness that was developing that really viewed themselves as better. It was almost a supremacist move.
Let me jump in.
Okay, so it was like that supremacist move.
Their Black Lives mattered a lot more than mine.
Okay, so let me jump in here. There's a lot that you said. You think Black Lives Matter is, you said you think it's an extreme movement? Because it's now part of the...
No, this is the thing. It's a great mantra. It's a true mantra. Black lives do matter. But when you're talking about an organization, you're talking about the leaders. You're talking about the people who are responsible for putting these things together.
I got you. So let me, but
different things.
Cherry, you realize that even during the civil rights movement that Dr. King was seen as extreme. That movement was seen as extreme. To people who don't want to make change, movements are seen as extreme. You can paint them easily as an extreme when they are not.
This is very true, but also when you're talking about MLK, you're talking about Nelson Mandela, and even Malcolm X, they all realized that you had to have a non-racial component to these kind of movements, or there will be resentment.
We're just listening. Basically, we're breaking down two types of saboteurs: the unconscious and conscious saboteurs. And I'm presenting here that this brother Terry Crews, he will always, well, not always, in this particular case, will speak against any kind of black gathering, every kind. Not that I'm here supporting Black Lives Matter or undermining them in any way, but to try to impose certain, ideologies on them and stuff isn't beneficial. I think let me just quickly skip this and.
There will be children, child murder,
gun violence. I lived in Chicago. There are many people who are working in those communities to try to get rid of the gun violence. It's the gun culture.
What he's pushed now is also, why isn't Black Lives Matter tackle gun crime within Chicago, whatever, some of it was going on. And once again, it wasn't set up for that. It was talking about mistreatment of black people from by the state. So all this kind of stuff goes on a lot in when it comes to this kind of unconscious sabotage using non-black people's talking points to undermine black progress, blah blah blah. So this is something we'll look at. Now what we're going to do, we're quickly going to jump down. So what we've shown now is we've shown one type, one type of saboteur. And we're merciful in our judgment by saying that this particular type of saboteur is potentially unaware of what they're doing and how it could escalate into tarnishing any kind of black progress or just stuff like that, right? All right, then we can click to the next one. This next one is of Brother Khaled. I'm sure many of you have seen it. This is an interview we had with, I forgot the brother's name, but I'm sure it'll come to me in a bit. And it's just, it's a piece on, I think, Brother Khaled Abdul-Mahmoud was trying to do a million youth march to fix the neighborhood, and he was interviewed by one journalist. And let's look at the energy that is given to him. Reverse.
Controversial Million Youth March, its organizer, Khalid Muhammad, sat down for an exclusive one-on-one with our Dominic Carter. Dominic joins us now with a few excerpts from the interview. Dominic?
Good evening, Lewis. He's been called a demagogue and a racist. And with every press conference, Khalid Muhammad adds fuel to those charges. We know very little about the man at the center of the storm of tomorrow's Million Youth March. At times confrontational, at times lashing out at me, Muhammad defended his rhetoric and his mission. As for tomorrow, Muhammad says he hopes for a peaceful, orderly rally, but he will not rule out violence.
Believe in peace if possible, but violence when necessary.
So you're telling me here now that you're not ruling out the possibility of violence tomorrow?
I honestly do not believe, Brother Dominique, as hard as you attempt in your weak manner to press, I honestly do not believe that there will be any violence tomorrow whatsoever.
Muhammad already appears to be in damage control mode about tomorrow's event. We asked him if the march will be a failure if only 2,000 people turn out.
So we have here is we have this network, but more so this particular journalist is definitely trying to press Brother Abdul Khalid Muhammad, and he's trying to always insinuate about violence, and he's always putting the emphasis on this kind of area, and is never really trying to, constructively build with the brother. And we'll see. I think this is the first edit, but they let the interview go for a bit longer.
Muhammad's answer no, because thanks to the media, millions have already heard his message. Muhammad has also been dogged by questions about where his funding comes from, a topic he was not too happy to discuss. How do you make your living? Where do you earn your money from?
How do you make your living? Where do you get your money from?
But again, I'm here in the room.
Well, how much do they pay you?
I make a decent salary.
And I make a decent salary from the masses of black people who love me.
From donations?
Now, what you have to understand is this has been edited, and they're going to show the long stream. But what you know is this one of the tricks they do in media is where they'll try to edit in a way to have your most aggressive kind of tones come in at certain points, and then leave with that and lead with that. And we've seen it many times, but when you see the whole interview, you realize that this is even hardly even noticed, but it's the way they edit it.
The masses of black people who love me and love the strong and bold, uncompromising stand to reestablish black power.
Muhammad did tell us he did not pay for his Harlem brownstone or even the suit he wore to the interview. We asked him what, besides the color of his skin, separates him from David Duke. Muhammad says his people have been oppressed, Duke's have not. We also asked him this question about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What would Dr. King think of what you're doing? What would, if he were alive today, what the hateful words that you have used to describe people, what would he think?
As we say in the black community, you're too much. I mean, they've given you a list of questions. You're just making sure you go through every one of them. I hope they will give you a bonus, Mr. Carter. What would Dr. King think? You sit here and ask me what Dr. King would think. How could I possibly know what Dr. King would think? I think, though, that maybe Dr. King would understand that when you have a strong, militant, revolutionary, uncompromising voice out there, that it forces the enemy in a position to say, I'd better deal with Martin Luther King Jr. I certainly don't want to deal with the Black Power crew that's out there.
Critics have charged Muhammad became invisible after last year's march. We asked him what has he been doing the last year. His answer, working street patrols with an organization known as Black Men's Movement Against Crack. He says he's working to set up a free food program and also doing work, Lewis, with political prisoners.
All right, thanks a lot, Dominic.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Inside City.
Now we've got that quick snippet. They try to only use certain negative tones, blah, blah, blah. Now this is the longer tone, the longer edits, and we'll break down, and you'll see how the brother is consistently trying to get some
I'm Andrew Kurtz.
This, by the way, is what I am pushing forward as conscious sabotage, as in either you get kind of some kind of bonus payment, you're expected to sabotage black people in the works they do.
The mayor says he's a hate monger. Harlem politicians say he's an outsider. He's called a demagogue, a racist, an anti-Semite. And with every press conference, Khalid Muhammad adds fuel to those charges. Tomorrow, he'll address his so-called Million Youth March. Today, the minister sat down for an exclusive interview with my New York One colleague, Dominic Carter. Tonight, we'll bring you that interview. And then later, we'll bring together our Friday Reporters Roundtable to discuss the matter. We'll also part the curtains on this week's winners and losers in the news. But
there we go.
Here is that interview.
Mr. Khalid Muhammad, we want to thank you very much for joining us here on New York One.
Thank you, Brother Dominic.
I hope this is an opportunity for you to express your views, but also, frankly, there are some very serious questions that you need to answer.
You need to answer. Very interesting. Remember, if anyone wants to jump in now as we review this, by all means, let me know.
So let me go back to last year's Million Youth March, the first one that was held here. Now, you claim to be a leader in the African-American community, but what kind of leader tells thousands of
very aggressive
attending a rally in self-defense if they touch you, take their guns? In other words, what type of real leader advocates violence when there are thousands of young lives at risk?
The Bible speaks of the Good Shepherd. And the Bible says that when the wolves attack the sheep, attack the flock, that the Good Shepherd is a responsible shepherd, and that shepherd works indeed to protect the flock from the attacking wolves. I notice you said in your statement that it was a statement in self-defense, and certainly in the Second Circuit Court and the Court of Appeals, Judge Chin and the higher court determined that my words were indeed words spoken in self-defense and self-defense only.
But what kind of leader uses those words when there are people's lives at risk?
A strong leader, a bold leader, an uncompromising leader.
And then the type of leader that as soon as the stuff hits the fan, he leaves.
Well, you know that I didn't leave, but you are playing the devil's advocate. as you do so often. You're sitting here in the place of the white man saying what the white man wants you to say. You've
Minister,
seen in the newspapers, in the Post, in the Daily News, me in the middle of the police and the security holding me back. It was impossible to leave. I've even heard the lie that I left in a white Mercedes-Benz, which was early in the morning at 9 a.m. when I went to Federal Express. The police froze all vehicles behind the stage. No vehicle was allowed to leave that day. And as I faced the Klan and police in Jasper, Texas, after they had dragged our brother to his death, that is the way I faced them that day. And it is a propaganda scheme to say that I turned heels and ran, and I understand it's up to you to make sure that that gets out.
But let me backtrack for 1 second. You've started with, I'm here in the white man's shoes, and I guess you're headed with the Uncle Tom.
Do you work for New York One?
I do work.
Are you being paid for this interview? Do you get a check, sir?
Is that the best shot that you have, the Uncle Tom line?
I didn't call you Uncle Tom, but
you said
you said it better than it could be said. You are here indeed. I believe you are a professional, but I do also believe that as a professional, you have a job, you have a duty. And I don't believe that you are a reporter first in the way that you have presented yourself to the community, a reporter who reports fairly. I believe that before being a reporter, you shouldn't be a reporter first. You are not a reporter first. You should be black first with the responsibility. What kind of reporter would sit up and keep
my sound is back, so I don't know if anything happened.
Telling lies.
Hopefully you guys are listening to what I'm saying about this.
Kind of reporter would try to confuse his people for a paycheck?
Well,
can you answer that, sir?
Again, I'm here to ask the question.
But can you answer that?
Again, one other question.
Will you answer that, sir?
Minister, I'm not here to answer the question.
What kind of
I'm here
reporter would
to ask the question.
Put out false reports, sir?
I don't.
You're my brother. I love you, but don't do this, brother. Be a strong reporter. Be a revolutionary reporter. It was Paul Robeson who said the battlefield is everywhere. And so you must battle on the battlefield at New York One.
Police made the move last year to shut down the generator. But
right, so what you're seeing there is you're seeing dedicated. I mean, it goes on. It's good stuff. If you haven't seen it, I'll see if I can post a link in the thing somewhere. But just Brother Abdul Khalid Muhammad, definitely. Let me play for 4 seconds. I've got one video I might show. Basically, I'm always talking with people online, and there was one brother who questioned me personally many years ago, and I stumbled on his page. And I think he's still ever so slightly disgruntled from our last meeting. And I'm going to break down something and hopefully he's in the forum and he can jump in. But he might be very busy or maybe he doesn't want to confront me again. But let me just play this and I'll see if I can find some video for you. For 4 seconds, there we go.
You had to know, you're a very smart man, that the city was not going to let you go 1 minute past 4.
Yeah, I found it, but it's going to take, 5 minutes to download? No, whatever. Let's go.
Clock. Can one reasonably conclude that you were looking to spark an incident, possibly to spark a riot?
Emphatically no, sir. I was not. And I appreciate the credit that you have given me. But I did indeed believe that.
Now, what we have to show is the calm demeanor that Brother Abdul Khalid Muhammad, very fiery personality, but respect for the calm way. And this is one thing I'm saying, that when black people come on any kind of show, I said it before, there's always this strategy and technique of many anti-black pundits who enjoy black people arguing and fighting, and it's easier to get certain things across when you have two black people fighting over it. So not buying the bait is very important. Understanding why, the motivations. I've also posted a link in the group, so if anyone wants to jump on and add commentary, by all means, you're always welcome. Half an hour, we did quite good. Yeah, but I'll keep on playing. But you're going to see the same right now. For those who are joining, we are talking about unconscious and conscious sabotage when it comes to black betterment, and the many reasons why black people can't trust black people, black communities struggle. There is a history training of this, of training black people to be jealous, envious, distrusting of black people. Plus, there's also that true nature that there are many black people who might actually do things for their own benefit, and by people observing this, it makes it very hard to know who to support and move with. Very challenging. What I'm doing, I'm downloading one of my old speakers corner where a gentleman was accusing me of being a fraudster. So it's always good to see that. But let's carry on listening because it's taking obviously my slow internet is like 56k or something. So it's going to take a bit of time. But we'll listen. If anyone wants to jump on, feel free. Well, I think some people messaged me. They'll not be offended by the topic.
There would be flexibility at the end of the rally because they had promised flexibility and they had said that there would not be strict adherence to the 4 o'clock. So as you know, and I've heard you say, I had finished speaking. The police attacked an otherwise peaceful rally that had already concluded as I told our people to go on home in love and unity to their families. So I guess to some degree, sir, I did not believe that they would attack at 4 o'clock or 4:01 in answer to your question.
Are you going to honor the 4 p.m. deadline tomorrow?
Indeed, I will honor the 4 p.m. deadline on tomorrow.
Are you willing to vow that you or your supporters will not call for violence tomorrow under any circumstances?
We have a new welcome. Is that Peyton, brother Peyton?
Yeah, bro. How's it going?
Good to meet you, family. Would you like me to carry on playing this, or would you like to say something now? Does speak.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Would you like me to carry on playing this video, or would you like to add something before I play it?
Oh no, go ahead. I'm still listening.
Okay.
Circumstance?
No, sir, I am not. We believe that by the grace and the power of Almighty God and our ancestors, that we have a God-given right. We have a human right, and according to white constitutional law, we also have, according to white constitution, a constitutional right to believe in peace if possible, but violence when necessary. Everything in nature, sir, will defend itself. We should not be the aggressor. We should not be provocative.
This was also showed in the early clip that was played on the show without the full edit, and this is what they used, and they edit it early just to highlight word violence and this kind of stuff.
Why was he waiting for Aunt Lynn?
Peyton, I think you could be heard. Are you asking the question?
Sorry about that, bro.
That's great. You're welcome. Okay, cool. If you ask questions, let me know. But if not, we can hear you. So just so you know.
Sure.
But we should defend our men, our women, our children, and our elders, as Judge Chin said, in self-defense.
So you're telling me here now that you're not ruling out the possibility of violence tomorrow?
I honestly do not believe, Brother Dominique, as hard as you attempt in your weak manner to press, I honestly do not believe that there will be any violence tomorrow whatsoever. As we present the Million Youth March 1999.
And also, this kind of narrative that when black people come together, there'll be violence was very prevalent back in the days. But this is what I'm saying. Black people will either try to march to get freedoms or to fix up neighborhoods, whatever it might be. But the narrative is always violence, violence, violence. Something you have to be aware of.
7-point program of action. As we,
it's a form of fear-mongering.
We present that program to the masses of our people, to the indigenous people called the Latinos and called the Dominicans and the Cubans and the Puerto Ricans and the Red Indians or other indigenous people who will come to join in with us. And I hope you will be there.
I will be there.
Not just as a reporter, but as a black brother.
I will be there in the role solely of a journalist. I want to talk.
But black also, right?
I want to talk.
But you will be there as a black man, won't you?
I'll be there in the role of a journalist.
Only as a journalist?
I'm interested.
Oh, Brother Dominique, I'm...
So you see that the brother Dominique there refused to have any kind of connection with black people. I don't know if he's allowed to do this, but really trying to make a distinction between himself, black people, or any kind of black movements, whatever it is. Obviously, he's paid by a network and this kind of stuff.
Embarrassed. I'm ashamed of you.
So this is why we say this is more of a conscious sabotage rather than an unconscious. This is being plotted and directed. It isn't something that seems to be organic.
Somewhat a mystery. I believe you own a brownstone on Strivers Road here in Harlem.
You don't believe that. You know that.
Okay.
In Harlem.
Where else do you live? Do you have a residence in New Jersey?
No, sir, I do not.
Only in...
You know that if I had a residence in New Jersey, it would be back on the front page of the New York Post or Daily News as they put right after my assassination attempt, put the picture of the building I was living in and a map in case someone got lost on their way to my door.
Okay, well, that raises a very legitimate point. How can...
For those who don't know, unfortunately, when many black people try to help black people, they will be victims potentially of assassinations or attacks or demonizations, and brother Khalid was no different. And like I said, you have to be careful because many times it will be a black person.
You claim to attack whites, and you were living in New Jersey in a building predominantly.
Sir, I live in New York, and it's white. I live in the state of New York, and it's white.
That's not hypocritical.
Indeed, I live in the United States of America, and it's white controlled and white dominated. And I'm now interviewing on New York 1, which is as white as it can be, with a few black spots here and there.
Again, you, for the most part, remain a mystery. But can you tell us, since the last Million Youth March, what have you done here in New York as a leader? Not general.
So this is something trying to bring. What have you done? What have you done? This is a very question. Anything you want to add, Brother Peyton, at this point?
I'm about to say that. I mean, that last part is a valid question. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, exactly. Like, what have you done?
Specifics.
I'm so happy to answer that question because my critics have called me an outsider. The politicians of Harlem, when every day they sanction busloads of whites who are outsiders to come in and gobble up Harlem like little white Pac-Men, and have sold out to the white business interests and run the vendors from 125th Street. I must say to you that we have been working throughout the entire year with the black men's movement against crack, going door to door and street by street and block by block in the black community. That's not what I just started doing, my dear brother. That is what I've been doing all of my adult life and some of my young life as a teen, in addition to our anti-drug program. We're working to set up the free food program, only giving out food now and having free food programs here and there, but intending to lay the base from this mass mobilization, as Brother Kwame Ture taught us before he went on to the ancestors, now mass organization, free food program, feed the multitudes over the past year. We have done street patrols called crime units.
Been feeding the poor over the past year here in New York City.
My dear brother, sir, we have been doing that.
That brings up another.
And working with political prisoners that most talk about or read about. We have direct contact with them, speaking to them by telephone and in person as we go.
Great interview. You should check it out. It goes on. What I'm going to do now, this might be a bit of a hodgepodge. I'm gonna show. I did invite this brother to jump on the show. He might be busy. He's one of the few people who claims to really want to help black people, but doesn't really trust many of the people he sees, and I'm one of them. And this was my first encounter with him many years ago, but I came across him again recently digitally, and I did invite him, and I think he's trying to get me on his show, and I'm trying to get him on the show. But it's interesting to see. Let us see if we can. Give me 14 seconds on the family video, and up we go. Hold on. 5. There we go. Voila. Let's see this. Now this is a big up a Contino. I think this is footage. I know he doesn't have an algorithm that's going to shut us down. Speak with him. I'm going to see if I can skip to some kind of thing. But let me just give you a back context. Basically, I think Brother Adnan wasn't best pleased with me talking about black people helping black people, and he had some objections, but it was quite hard because as he was speaking, people were jumping in. But let's see if we can make any kind of point of what he's saying. Let's go back. There we go.
Well, go on, Raven. You're right. First thing, I didn't come to you in a hostile vibe. I never said you were. Yeah, because hostile, you know hostile when man comes to hostile. Go ahead. Yeah. So I come to you and I said, Rob, no, but it's real. Isn't it? So I'm saying to you, Rob, I came to you and I said to you, Rob, go on, Raven. And I said, Rob, what are you lot doing? You exchanging numbers, yeah? I said, what skills? And I said, what are you taking? What, he's got skills.
So let's break this down. When I go to Speaker's Corner, I talk to many black people and I run networks. And one of the things I'm trying to do is get skillful people to know other skillful people. If you need plumbers, if you need, designers, if you need painters, blah, blah, that you have a black base to reach for. And this is what I do. And this gentleman saw me interacting with some other black people and he was concerned. And so this is what he said.
I said, yeah.
This is maybe 2 years ago, I think it was. Maybe 2-3 years, I can't remember.
I said, what skills does he have? You told me what skills he has, yeah? That's what happened. And then I said, Raw, I could just clock something or Raven. I just clocked something or. I just clocked that every time you meet people, you ask them what skills they get. And then you take their number and you get them to do stuff for you.
No, that's not.
No. I said that's what I said.
Yeah, and you're incorrect.
Yeah. So no, listen. I'm saying to you what I said. I said, well, you take people to do that, bro. You're exploiting the black community, fam.
So once again, if we saw what happened, this brother has seen me talk to other brothers who have skills and push them to certain companies, certain kind of networks, whatever it might be. I've told them that I don't, even if I did was to hire people, this would be a good thing. Or if people were to hire me, this would be a good thing because this is how economics works. But the brother might be new to these concepts, but he has interpreted this as exploitation. Now, this could be the training, so this could be an unconscious bias where he's so used to seeing negativity in the black community that he is he's forced to feel this way, or there could be some part of disagreements or not liking that someone else is doing something that he might want to do. Who knows? And this is what I was trying to iron out with him, but it became very challenging because everyone's jumping in. But we'll carry on listening.
That's what I said to you. So that's what I said. That's what I said. Yeah. That's what I said. Yeah. Yes. I'm saying this.
So you'll see he's very aggressive. I don't know if someone wired him up before, I can't remember, but he's really trying to get that point of what he was doing.
I'm saying to you what I said. I'm not going back on my words. I'm not going back on my words. I'm a man of my word. I say my thing. Yeah. So I said that.
Most of the black people are not comfortable with the way he's saying and how he's saying it. But as you know, when I'm there, I'm trying to make black people show discernment and respect and have fruitful conversations. But some people do get a bit concerned. But let's see how long.
Let him finish. Bare ad-libs. Let him finish. No, man. Yo, let him finish now, man. Man's not getting order now, man. Bare ad-libs. It's bare ad-libs.
Now, see, confusion is seeking. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying now, I said that.
Now, brother, if you actually listen to the show, feel free to jump in. If you are in I think we've got somebody jumping in the chat. No, he's not there yet. If you wish to jump in and to answer this, you're more than welcome. But I suspect you might be busy today doing other stuff.
Yeah? Then you said to me, no, there's nothing wrong with that. Then after, when we left that little side and we came to a side, you said, yeah, if I get men to do stuff for me, there's nothing wrong with that. If I get men to do projects for me, there's nothing wrong with that. I said to you, all right, there's nothing wrong with that. I said, there's nothing wrong. I said, that's actually a smart thing to do. That is actually a good thing to do. There's nothing wrong with it. And the youth said right there, the youth that was standing there, he said, well, I don't mind if man uses my skills. By the way, I don't mind if man uses my skills.
You use the word exploit, right? And you also question whether my motivation was pure. As in, am I trying to help black people collectively? Yeah. Or am I trying to help myself?
Yes.
Right? I gave you examples.
I asked a question.
And then I asked you questions. And all the questions I asked you bounced off. I said, how long have you been helping black people?
You can jump in. So you notice that I'm asking direct questions, and this is what I'm saying. This could be like a really motivated by a lack of motivation within himself and projects upon myself. It could be, or he might generally believe. Go ahead, brother.
I think it's a lot of people don't understand the concept of you think everyone's going to try and take advantage of more if you don't do it your way. If you don't do it their way, it's wrong. And it's just a lack of having an open mind. Like him saying that you're taking advantage is, it's a skill set. You're putting someone's skill set to use for both of your benefits, agreed upon on top of that. So I don't think he's listening in general.
No, and this is why the one of the point of the topic we're saying today is because sometimes we try to be kind to people and in the community, and we try to say that, okay, you might be doing something that's disruptive, but you generally don't know what you're doing. You're operating from an ignorant standpoint, and we can all see it. But then some people might actually generally be aware of what they're doing, and they're trying to cause conflict and confusion. And this is what becomes very hard to do. But let's listen for a bit more, and the link's there for anyone. But let's listen for a bit more.
I asked you a question. It all stemmed from me asking a question, and you got defensive.
Now, bro,
someone asked someone a question, and you get.
Now, I've been accused of being offensive. This is something that I don't see myself really being in the speaker's corner, but perhaps it's correct. We'll give him benefit of that.
You said exploit, though. You said offensive. Bro. Can I say show you? One time.
What I was also trying to explain to the brother, and if you are listening, brother, feel free to jump in. I keep saying this, but there's a concept of when you question someone's motivations. This is okay, especially when in a community, you always want proof of work. I agree to this, right? But what you're seeing here is you're seeing many different black people who I've worked with on different individual projects or passerby stuff, and none of them are really in each other's kind of collective group of stuff. But because they've worked with me directly, they feel obliged to jump and say, well, hold on, here's what I'm aware of. The brother who says this, and many of brothers who speak this way, many of them, no one really knows what they do. apart from criticize or what we call drive-by criticism, right? Now, this is okay when it comes from a standpoint of ignorance, but if you are deliberately doing this because of some internal inadequacies or some kind of historical motive, this is not beneficial to the Black community. To constantly going up to people who are trying to do good works and undermining them publicly, this is problematic. At first, I can let things go, but because after talking to this brother recently again, digitally, I'm seeing the same kind of energy. Hence why I invite him on the shows. But once again, these brothers always find ways to speak more sharply than actually come in and justify what they mean. But we'll listen for a bit more. And if anyone wants to jump in, by all means, jump in. The link is there.
Obviously, man's been studying. I haven't spoken. I've been studying this negrophobia thing, yeah. And what man's saying is, yeah, like, and I'm not trying to be thing, but when you superimpose something negative, because you're saying you're going to do it for the Muslim community. It's called a premise, bro. We didn't get there. We didn't get there. No, I'm saying. Stop. This is where we're at right now. I will get to where we got. I'm saying.
What happened was you made many claims, right? One claim was I was getting too passionate, which is fine. We come to that. Another claim is that I'm exploiting. Now there was some other brothers around who have joined networks I'm part of, because for me working with Raven, I don't see this as the case, right? And then you start calling him, you were saying that, oh, your fans, whatever it might be, right? I said no, hear the testimony and see what it is, right? No, because I said, and then the question goes, no. I said I've been helping Black people for many years, right? How for free? Yeah. Oh, there you go, right? Now I'm saying. Let me land and you land, yeah? And I said, how long have you been helping Black people? Now I said, since I've helped Black people, I've lost money, yeah, time, energy, emotion, but it's worth it, yeah? It's worth it. So I'm saying, why are you mentioning it? Because you're questioning my motive. I didn't question the motive. My thing is, no one's testimony cares. I asked the question. Listen, people will come. If someone, bro, you said because of my niceness, I was deceived. I hope everyone realizes. And I said, what you do,
bro. Let's be intellectually honest.
What I'm saying to you,
For those who are joining now, we're trying to look at conscious and unconscious saboteurs in the community, and we're highlighting. We've shown some videos before. If you can check the video when it uploads, you'll see the rest. And we're looking at the speaker's corner when a brother accused me of being potentially a saboteur to Black people, or someone who is up to nefarious acts. And this was a few years back. I've recently spoken to this brother again, and we're just reviewing the video. And hopefully he might pass by today and jump in. I suspect he won't. But we're just seeing this is the kind, and this is a further lesson. This is the kind of stuff you should expect to happen when you actually try to help Black people. And I'm the first to say, maybe the first, probably the last year or whatever, but we should always try to treat these brothers with kindness and sisters with kindness, even though they might be deliberately sabotaging. I think it's very easy to get into emotional back and forth. And the most important thing I can ever tell any people is consistency. Luckily, these brothers who are walking by are well aware of the work I do, and they can jump in and give testimony. And obviously, the brother doesn't necessarily care about testimony. But what I'm saying is that's how essentially you will be judged. And this is the thing. The thing with these old videos is they sit in the park, and hopefully, when we go back to the park, we're going to have more of a discipline thing, because sometimes discipline becomes problematic. But at the same time, sometimes some people are deliberately hard to agree with or communicate. And this brother, I might suspect, is bleeding there. Listen for a few more minutes, and you'll see that some people deliberately go in circles. And let's have a listen.
If someone comes to you and asks you a question, if someone comes to you and asks you, what I'm saying to you, if someone comes to you and says and asks you a question. It's a question.
You had a loaded question, bro.
Let's be one at a time. Let's be.
If you've never been Speaker's Corner, and I haven't been in a long time, but generally it's a good place to go. Well, it's an interesting place to go to debate. Sometimes some of the best stuff you will not see on camera, but sometimes they catch some good stuff.
Let's be intellectually honest here, right? You ask a question here. Hold on. Right? You ask a brother a question. You didn't just ask him a question, yeah? Most questions, generally speaking, come with what is called a premise, yeah? So, if you ask a man, oh, are you exploiting black people? Or are you doing it for yourself? Or are you doing it to help black people? You're questioning a man's motives. Yeah? The premise of the question is his motives are in question. The virtue of what he's trying to do is in question. So you're trying to ascertain whether he's righteous or not, whether he's virtuous or not. But bro,
my thing is, why question?
So why use the why use words that
because you don't question
why
the
use
white man or
words
the Asians
why
that
use
are
words
more
hold on
afraid
bro
to
hold on if you're not questioning question
every conversation
stop saying
white man okay
why do you have to
if you're not questioning hold on
now we're going to try to get order, but what I'm saying is this brother here who is speaking, anytime any reason allows him to escape question, he goes for. So this is the problem with some of the saboteurs or the potential saboteurs who are consciously doing it. These are the techniques. But brother, if you're out in the group, feel free to come because I could be lying on you. Maybe this is just your nature.
No, it's a conversation. We have to have a conversation. I beg, we have this.
Once again, Raven is trying to enforce discipline, one of the four values. Very important when black people get together. If you don't know, yes, when black people get together with opinions, it does get very passionate, and we definitely need to have order.
Wait, hold on.
And hopefully this show can be the training basis for that, because it would just be a more of like these speakers corner talks. We're probably going for 2 hours, but you only get like 20 minutes worth of dialogue.
Wait, bro.
How are you not challenging his virtue if you use the word exploit? Doesn't exploit kind of imply that you're challenging his virtue?
Because let me say something. There's no exploit. The way you lot have always applied a negative concept to exploitation. So exploitation to you.
So once again, nonsensical use of language.
No, stop. Let me say.
Let him use his logic. Let him use his logic. Look stupid when we look back here. Let him land and then let the response happen, please. Go on, brother.
But I can never look stupid if I'm saying one thing.
You see, once again, by using certain language, you allow people to not answer the question. These are things we're going to learn on this show to how to try to have fruitful conversations.
So what I'm saying to you is, exploitation sometimes can actually be a good thing. It's not.
So the brother, in his own words, says that exploitation can be a good thing. This is a brother who's questioning my motives. Remember, this might, like I said, we're trying to establish whether the brother is consciously sabotaging or unconsciously sabotaging. But once again, if he honestly believes that exploitation is a good word, then maybe he is already in that confused state. Who knows?
It's a bad thing. If I'm exploiting, if I'm exploiting your talents so that you become a bit better at what you do, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. Wrong word.
Again,
tell me the right word. Tell me the right word. No, tell me the right word. Tell me the right word. Thank you very much.
Exploitation is positive when you exploit your own traits, when you your own skills, your own talent. You can exploit your own abilities to do that.
You're more intelligent than
if you're exploiting somebody else,
you're way more intelligent than what you said.
Somebody else,
yeah, you're way more intelligent than what you said.
Negative.
You're way more intelligent.
Now, brother Adnan, any friends or followers of this brother, if he has any, I don't like speaking ill of anyone who's not there, but you have recently come to me and said you wish to talk to me and debate about ideas you feel are not good enough for black people and actually counterproductive. If you're always welcome on the show, I've sent the link, and I'm happy to jump on your live stream. But we're just analyzing what you're doing, because I suspect either consciously or unconsciously you might be a black saboteur, and I mean that in the most correct way. And this is not for me to name call. This is more so to highlight what's going on, and hopefully we can learn from it. But if I am wrong, by all means jump on and explain yourself. You always have a place here.
Even if there's positive benefits from it.
I'm not belittling your intelligence. I'm crediting your intelligence.
Now remember, the most important thing we're saying here isn't necessarily to highlight conscious saboteurs, because conscious saboteurs, they have a hatred within them, or they're paid to do that. It's understanding within the black psyche, the people who are generally unconsciously trying to sabotage black progress, and they don't know it. And it's how, as a community, do we identify this and try to correct it. This video is from a page known as Content Over Everything, Black Run YouTube page that was voted as the best Speakers Corner provided page. The brother's been inactive since the COVID time, but definitely if you haven't followed, definitely follow Content Over Everything. You'll find if you YouTube it and follow it, and there's thousands of my videos on there. and you'll see many constructive talks, but you also will see many potential, I would like to think, unconscious saboteurs in the black community who might not know what they're doing is anti-progression. Progressional.
I'm being very sincere.
Do you have any evidence to back your claim?
What I'm saying to you.
Do you have any evidence to back your claim?
So first thing, I asked a question. So my question,
you accused.
I didn't accuse.
You said I am.
No, I
There was a accusation.
This is the brother. Everyone, this brother is skilled in development, right? Yeah. And this is what the conversation was about.
So basically, there's a brother there's a program. He wants to be hidden, probably because he doesn't like all the back and forth. But the brother in the background is a developer. I've told him that I know some people he can work with. I think it's a contract or something like that. Took numbers. This was the thing. The brother who's actually developed, he has some different views, and he was arguing with other people. But either way, my thing is to get black people to not necessarily argue about small, universal, historical stuff, and to try to find ways to be constructive. And in the act of me talking to that brother, this gentleman passed by and was using the term exploitation, this kind of stuff, this kind of stuff. So most black people passing by were very concerned, and they want to know what's his motivation. Is this guy sincere, or is he in fact a conscious saboteur of black progress?
When you came over to us, there was a huge amount of accusations.
Now I'm going to put the link back in the forum, so for people to jump on. Now we are talking about two topics today. We haven't covered any videos about the second one. The second one was black men who hate black women or dislike black women, and black women who dislike black men. This was the third week of that. We're trying to find solutions to a trend of maybe black men and black women not seeing eye to eye for some reasons. This is the third week, but we're also segueing, because this is part of the Eternal War saga, where we're talking about eternal wars in the black community and what causes them, and also more important than what causes them is what is the solution for them. And sometimes we want to have constructive talk. So something where it's going to take time, but we definitely want to get people who have disagreements to come on and to find ways to communicate. But here's the thing: this is hard, and this video is potentially demonstrates really well. There are some people who their motives isn't clear. I was being accused of this, that my motives are negative and personal, this kind of stuff. But generally, if a person's motive isn't clear, they can create red herrings, they can talk in circles. That's why this particular brother, you'll notice, doesn't answer any questions and changes and bends reality to suit whatever he's trying to prove. And it's very, I'll leave it play for a few minutes, because I can't remember if he actually, because usually when I speak to some of these gentlemen in the park, what they tend to do is they try to, when people talk, and escape. So I think he tries to do this as well.
Like, if you now switch up and say that was some kind of inquisitive nature, that's absolutely bollocks. You definitely accuse him of.
Bro, if you man are talking about
using helping black people as a smokescreen for him to actually exploit them in the end, that's exactly what you said.
Okay, so, and what Raven said to me. So what I'm saying, even when we was talking, Raven said to me, You said, this is what you said. Hey, brother, wait a second.
I know what you're going to say now, so say it now.
You said, I don't even mind if he explains me. That's what you said, so you just be quiet, brother. So listen to what I'm saying.
There's a backstory to that. There's a backstory to that.
No, well, you said that. You said you don't mind if man explains to you. That's what you said.
We've already discussed that.
Brother, you said you don't mind if man explains to you. Is that what you said? So why are you talking about?
There's a larger context.
Brother says important.
So what I'm just saying to you. Now listen to this. Listen to this.
Yeah, brother said there, brother Shrek's intellectual dishonesty. A lot of that's going on in this conversation. Once again, the thing is, a lot of this stuff is the problem with being a kind speaker, an open speaker, is the entry level speakers will try to exploit these kinds of things, and it's childish and young. But at the same token, we definitely don't want to have a back and forth of name calling and frustration. But at a certain point, you will have to dismiss people's claims.
Listen. You're doing it for the cameras. I'm doing it for the cameras.
No, I'll tell you,
turn the cameras off right now.
So once again, the brother said he did for camera. These are youngish kind of side. For those who are new to public debates, these are the entry level. And brother, if you're there, I'm saying this, and I'm sincere to meet this, and hopefully through talking on here, we can get better ways of communicating, and not to do these kind of easy exit kind of talks and distractions, to not focus on the actual context. Context is everything. in importance.
Go over there and I'll still talk the same talk. What I'm trying to say to you now, yeah,
it'll
my
still
brother,
be wrong.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say to you, no problem. That's entitled to your opinion.
No, but you falsely
Brother,
accused me.
listen, I didn't accuse you. Listen to what I said. I said to you, Raw, what you're doing, is an honourable thing. It's a smart thing what you're doing.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't actually see what you're doing. Yeah. So if I come here every week and I say, Raw, you know what? I'm going to take all the Muslims. This is how we got to where the Muslims are.
Okay.
I said to you, Raw, if I come here every week and I say, Raw, I'm going to meet all the Muslims and say, Raw, brother, what's your skills? What kind of skills do you have?
Yeah.
And then I take my phone out and take their numbers. I said, there's nothing wrong with that, is there? Is there anything wrong with that? You said you're going to do it.
I told you.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So, is there anything wrong with it? Is there anything wrong with it?
Yes.
Why is there something wrong?
Separate yourself from it. Here's what's wrong.
Set ways for the black people. You say you're not part of it.
I'm going to speak.
Now, what it is that one of the things, and this is before we wrap up, this is the thing. This brother also is one of the many black people who they strongly undermine black people come together, but they're part of other community groups. So these community groups might be works, religious, or whatever. And in those things, they don't mind practicing the tenets of how to improve the black community in those tendencies. But obviously with black people, either in a subservient role or not in a dominant role. And this is what I see consistently. But let's carry on listening. And this is something we have to be very aware of.
Go on. If you accuse me of exploiting and you're going to repeat the action, then you shouldn't exploit your Muslim brothers.
I'm not.
I can see that.
But you see what you said. What you said, you're not exploiting. That's what you said. Yes? Yeah. So I said, all right, no problem.
But you think I am?
No. What I'm saying is, I don't need that. Keep your phone to yourself.
Do you want to see it?
No.
Why not?
They don't like you.
Let's have a look while you're talking. Have a look while you're talking.
What I'm saying.
The definition of exploitation, bro.
I'll read that. See if me and you are having a debate about something, yeah? And I'm asking you a question, and then you're replying back with an answer, yeah? Then I say to you, Roy, that's actually kind of good, you know what you're doing. I might start trying to do the same thing. Then you say to me, bruv, are you not part of the black community?
I did. Yeah.
All right.
Now, once again, a lot of the people who will come and stop any black dedicated acts, once again, we tried to show in the beginning of the Terry Crews video, it's like they've been programmed to separate black people from being collectively adequate and for actually forming institutions and concepts based around fixing black issues. And I think we're about to see that now. This is very and this is something we have to try to teach. But obviously, the thing with these brothers and sisters is they're not actually in the black community doing any kind of work usually. And not to disparage the brother, maybe he does one or two things, but generally no one will know them. So there is an argument, why do you give people space? But in the spirit of communication and progression, we have to allow people to have their say, but we definitely want people to be chop and get to the point of what they're trying to get to.
So what have you done for the black community? Now, I could come on this camera now and say everything that I've done because people know who I am.
Once again, these claims are always made by these kind of people. Everyone knows you've done. The more of the story is all the brothers in here wasn't there when we started talking, but because the man made a claim against me and I've worked out with all these brothers and sisters individually, they were concerned and they came through. And I'm saying that if he is actually trying to help black people, we will support him. But this mystery kind of support doesn't really work in the 2000s. You know, this kind of bravado, I do things you don't need to know. Once again, very young behavior, but then once again, I don't know the mindset of the history, so we have to be merciful.
Stop. What I'm trying to say to you, people know
context is important.
Stop, listen to me, man. What I'm trying to say to you, people know what I've done for my...
People know names, know people. To this day, no black person's come forward and said anything. Brother Adnan, if you are listening, by all means, please jump in. We will set up a talk and you can jump in. And I will try to make sure that, you know, you have a respectable back and forth here. And please, the people, it does come and please be respectful to the brother.
I've done bare for my community. Good. You know Tulsa, Brixton, that Brixton Hill area, yeah? All them areas there, you know who I am. It's known, it's a known fact. For all the youths on the road, what I'm saying to you now,
not his community.
So what I'm trying to say to you,
you're not part of what she said.
What I'm trying to say, yeah, is I don't need to go into the ins and outs of that. But for you to question me now, if I'm a part of the black community.
What's the context of these conversations?
Very important to always ask people the context. Once again, when we're talking about conscious sabotage, yes, we're talking about someone who's paid to undermine black people, and this is something that seems to be the most known kind of sabotage that you will face when you get to a certain plateau of helping black people. However, and I'm not saying that this brother's there, but we have to analyze it. There is that kind of envious stuff, because right now, you know, you ask what I'm doing, I say this show is part of the process. This brother, I don't know what this brother runs a show that's not necessarily about, it's about something I don't know what it's about. But the fact is, when we ask direct questions, it's the mystery, like, oh, I know you don't need to. It's that kind of, it's very youngish and very new, very level one, but Hopefully, brother will watch this video and learn from it, and I'll come with his A game next time.
Intellectual honesty.
Come on,
bro. I don't think.
I'm getting to the point.
Let's hear this.
Let the man read
this.
1 minute. The dictionary definition of exploitation is the action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work.
So can I say something now? How comes you go to the black man and say he's exploiting, but yet when the Asian Muslims, like I told you before, are calling the black boys to back them up, yeah, right, and then calling them nigger behind their back? How come you never gone to the Asians and start exploiting my black Muslims, bro?
What are you talking about? What's the
Come on, bro, you know.
The brother's trying to say that in Asian communities, there's much exploitation of black people that we see in the park, and why you as a fellow Muslim don't try to call them out and do a similar thing.
You never go to the Asians and tell them they're exploiting. Come on, man, you never know. You see the black youth, though. I'm saying you see the black.
The brother might be intellectually dishonest, but maybe in his territory.
Show me the Asian. You see the black man.
He's saying he don't know.
What's their name? But I'm just saying.
Who are they?
No, forget that. Black man, though.
So these are very young behaviors of just whenever something can't be quantified, very exciting behavior. Please make note of this. Very important to know.
Made a claim seeing the black man, though.
He's saying they don't know.
How comes man only sees what we do, but never sees what the other race does?
Very good points, and this is the thing. Black people look at other black people with a more keener eye and a more sharper eye. Could be a good thing in some senses, but in these contexts, it's not so much.
Jedi and breastbone, I've given you a definition that's in the dictionary, right? Now, can you see why I had to defend the claim? I had to defend against the claim.
No problem. You have to defend.
Well, did you take that claim back in front of the camera?
No.
See, the brother won't take the claim back, even though he's been proven. So I'm not going to say narcissistic, but this is going down those kind of behavior patterns where it isn't no longer about being right. It's no longer about finding out something and learning, bouncing off each other. It's about being right for whatever reason,
So you still think he's treating black people unfairly to benefit from their work?
It's not about being Muslim.
It depends how you see it.
If you're conversation is gonna that's it, bro. Yeah, but it's very loud and people are having a conversation.
Bro, you don't care about the dictionary. You don't care about.
Now, I've sent the link in the group, family. If you want to jump in, feel free. We have one more hour. I might stop it here. I mean, I'm going to now skip because this is going for 20 days, whatever. Circular reasoning, talking isn't my cup of tea, really. But it's what this happens. But I think if we click here, I'm going to skip through. Oh, look, the thing goes. You'll probably see numerous times where the brother tries to run away. Oh.
Yeah, because I'm saying, right?
Well, we need to have that again.
What you're putting forward.
Yeah. What's the other one? Something. Put that to one side. A man's whole life is a certain thing.
We can come together and build a house, and we don't have to argue over whose religion is real.
All right, so we've moved as usual within the conversation. Religion comes in, and when religion comes in, black people it becomes hard to manage. So we'll get in that video there. Now, what we're going to do. Let's recap of what we've done. Let's press the add to stream. Is it that one? It's that one. Yeah, so today's topic is, as we look, the motivations behind B.P.S, Black Progress Saboteurs. Black people who consciously or unconsciously sabotage black progress. Many reasons. Maybe if you've had any experience with this yourself, in any context, could be family, friends, workers, all this kind of stuff. Feel free to jump on the live and come and have a conversation. We had Brother Peyton, but I believe, unfortunately, he had to leave, maybe work to do or wiring, so he didn't get a chance to express himself. But we still have time if he is still available. And also, we are going to part 3 of black men who hate black women and vice versa. I have spent my time looking up this kind of divide that in some kind of communities there, and from what I said last week and this week is very clear that communication is a very important factor, and many of black people when this divide, when they talk, it becomes problematic, and this is something that we try to push here. A better way of speaking, that video might not be the best demonstration of that, but it is something that we're trying to push here. We spent time looking at Brother Abdul Mohammed talking to what I'm defining as a conscious saboteur, as in someone who's deliberately trying to do it. This was the video here, just for those. We shall continue for a bit.
Visiting them and fighting for those who are on death row unjustly, Brother.
So now at this point, the brother's asking him, What has he done for black people? Very important question. And for those out there in the world, that's something that you should be able to answer yourself. If ever you try to help black people, the community and stuff, you should be able to quantify the actions you do. Unfortunately, with many of us, what happens is you do things so regularly, so consistently, so naturally, that when you ask what you're doing, it's almost like mentioning breathing, and you just forget that you breathe. And that's why it's very important for you to have diaries and remember and quotas and things you're trying to do, because it's important. And you want to be able to articulate to people, because I'm not saying the last brother in the video was this way inclined, but some people, it's very easy for them to do nothing day to day. And there's a practice drive-by criticism when they see yourself doing stuff. And then when they ask you what you do, you can't answer because it becomes naturalistic and it goes in the back of your mind as a subconscious thought.
Gary Graham, Brother Mumia Abu Jamal, and many others of the political prisoners who are locked down. I'm not such a mystery. Black people in the black community have known me for a long time. And in the hip-hop...
And that's another thing, very important. Generally, if you're helping people, at a certain point, they should know you're helping them. I confess I want to help black people. When I walk down the street, people stop me and they talk to me about that topic. Many people disagree with certain things I say. Many people agree. But when they see me, generally, apart from work-based activities and stuff, they know me as the person who publicly speaks about Black Betterment. You tend to find that the majority to 99.99% of naysayers, which might only have up to 7 people or less, generally, when they approach me, they are not known for this. They are known for something else, some kind of work in some other kind of community, or some kind of unconstructive behavioral pattern that needs to be rectified, in my opinion. So this is something to remember. But Brother Khalid here is now doing the same thing, justifying and telling I have a history, and you ask, you will get a response because they know.
Pop community, but in a sense, the white man and you, to some degree, I don't believe you're really with them to that degree, are like Columbus. You're just discovering me just a few days ago.
Well, that brings up another good point. How do you make your living? Where do you earn your money from?
How do you make your living? Where do you get your money from?
But again, I'm here in the
Well, how much do they pay you?
I make a decent salary.
And I make a decent...
So these questions, I don't know how much it has to do with anything, but these questions tend to be asked to undermine progress. I wouldn't be surprised if I get asked these kind of questions as well.
Salary from the masses of black people who love me.
From donations?
From the masses of black people who love me and love the strong and bold, uncompromising stand to reestablish black power, black nationalism, Pan-Africanism, and black liberation theology in our youth and indeed in the masses of black people. So
link is in the group. If you wish to join, feel free as well. Jump in, offer your opinion.
Well, they make sure,
especially if you are a person who I've analyzed and you disagree, feel free to jump in. You can defend yourself. I always send out invites.
My brother, that I have shoes on my feet and that I have food to eat.
You've lashed out at some of my colleagues in the press, but if you've done any research about me, you would know that I don't back down easily. So let me try it again.
That's why I want you to be a comrade in the struggle, because you're not a back down man. We need you, brother.
Answer the question.
The black nation needs you.
Where do you earn your living from?
Specifically from the masses of the people, as the pastor of the church.
And the same, you notice the similarities of like asking the same question, getting the same answer, but asking again. You notice that in the park. So you're seeing these behavioral patterns, because many of them don't come from a genuine place. That's why conversation doesn't flow how it naturally should.
As the clergy of the church, I have been wanting to be a minister since I was yay high. And I am still the Church of Black Liberation Theology.
And so are you paid a salary?
I'm paid not only a salary, an expense account so that I can travel. So many people, as we do with ministers in every denomination, the suit that is on my back now was given to me. Some businesses in the black community throughout America help support us. Brother, we have so much love and so much support. I almost said you would be surprised, but some of this you already know, but I understand you have to do it like that.
Very good point there. I understand if you do it like that. This is the same thing You could say to many black conscious saboteurs, they understand what they're doing and they're trying to make you put your foot in it or say something that can be exploited. And that's why when we looked at the film, the news film edit of this, they only edit when certain tones are said and certain things are gone.
Maybe I should try again.
Try.
Will you please give us an answer to specifically how do you raise your money?
That's something they told you to press me on over and over again. I have simply said to you, it is very clear. I have given an emphatically clear answer. As a minister,
you'll notice in the last video show, I was giving clear answers that was justified by my surroundings, but the brother never gave once. These are the patterns you have to be aware of.
In the black revolution and the black liberation struggle for our people, and a spiritual and cultural teacher among my people, I specifically, this is not a roundabout answer, sir.
Well, is it donations?
Specifically, if someone gives you a suit, sir, that's a gift. It's a donation. If they give you clothes, even the house I live in was paid for by someone else. As God is my witness.
Was it paid for by the Nation of Islam?
No, sir, it was not. But the Nation of Islam has indeed been my foundation. And what I have learned from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is what gives me my base today and gives me my grace today by God's permission.
Let's read out some of the comments. Yep. Big up Dominic Smith, Tash Jeffs. He doesn't even know the journalist is sabotaging himself. Yes, it's self-sabotage. This is the thing. Black people will practice self-sabotage. This is the thing. One of the strategies you will have out there, and you notice it. And there's quite a lot now you mentioned it, but there's this concept of small trinkets, so you have more than the average whatever, but generally you'll never amount to anything. And whenever anti-black people get tired of you, you will be replaced. That is why forming a stronger foundation with black people, dedicated to black betterment, is a longer investment. But until you get to a certain platform, you will know.
Minister Muhammad, how does all the anti-Semitic talk lift up black people?
I don't understand, sir, what you mean by anti-Semitic
you know
talk.
Exactly
I don't
what
know
I mean.
what you mean.
When I say anti-Semitic talk, and I don't want to...
I think Brother Wiley is in trouble again for allegedly spewing anti-Semitic rhetoric. Would be interesting to interview him one time. But he's been deplatformed, I think.
Repeat the comments that you've made and some of
then you don't want to ask me the question.
About the cracker comments, the comments constantly about Jews keeping blacks down.
Let's look at that, sir, if you will. When I say, Brother Dominique, the cracker is a term of white origin. It is not a black term. And it is a term that has both a literal meaning and a figurative meaning. It means
what will happen is you'll see the brother actually break down why, when, and the context of what he says. Let's see if it makes any difference.
Cracker who cracks the whip or the whips with the old cat o' nine tails from chattel slavery. But it also indeed means one who cracks a whip today. Giuliani, Safer, who cracks a whip to keep his slaves or to keep his subjects or people he would like to be his slaves or subjects and would like to keep under his control, to crack that whip and keep them in line, to tell black elected public officials, I'm not going to meet you when Jallo was shot at 41 times, or Brother Abner Lawima was sodomized. I'm not going to meet with you, but to immediately set up negotiations with the community, the so-called Jews in the Brooklyn area when something happens in their community. That's a cracker. We always said on the plantation, Lord, child, Lord have mercy. Here come the cracker man. He's the one who cracks the whip to keep you in line.
Okay, well, what is, besides the...
And the so-called Jews, I say so-called, not in mockery, Brother Dominic. I'm not playing to any cameras. They are the so-called Jews because we are the true Jews, the true Hebrews, the true and real Israelites whose birthright has been stolen by them. We are the true ones that fulfill Bible prophecy and scripture.
Isn't it a fact that you know, by throwing out those terms, you're guaranteed press coverage?
I'm not throwing out terms. I'm fighting age-old enemies, and I'm planting seeds in the minds and hearts of the youth and the masses of my people that we will not make the same mistakes again. As they say in the so-called...
For those who don't know who about Khalid Abdul Muhammad, those who are new to him, I shall post a link. He was part of the Nation of Islam as well as the new Black Panther Party. Very interesting to hear his work. Very strong debater, especially when he debates either conscious saboteurs or anti-black racists. Very good at speaking. Very direct to the point. Definitely someone I recommend you listen to. Most of this, unfortunately, the brother passed away in 2001, but this is his stuff from the 80s, 90s and 2000s. Well, really 80s and 90s, to be honest.
Jewish community, never again. Never again.
What happened in your life that gave you your personal experience, your perspective on Jews in your lifetime?
Study, experience, living, studying the teachings of Dr. Yosef Ben Yachanan, studying the teachings of Dr. John Henry Clark, studying the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Malcolm X, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Dr. Barashango, and Browder, and Akbar, and many others. There are volumes of material, and even studying the book called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, a book that thick with nothing but so-called Jew historians and scholars who explain their role in the Black or the African Holocaust.
Do you have a Jewish friend?
No, sir, I do not have a Jewish friend. I am the Black Jew. I am the Black Hebrew. I am a member of the family of the Black Hebrew Israelites. But if you're asking me, do I have a white so-called Jew friend who is not in that line of Semites, so I can't be anti-Semitic? Did you know that there are Semites in Africa? Did you know that there are Semites in Asia? That there are some Semites so black until they're blue black, purple black, and beautiful? These are people using a political term, anti-Semitism, when it's really anti-Kemitism and anti-black program.
Let me ask you this.
So you know what? No matter what, he's always going to try to dig. And Brother Abdul Karim Muhammad will always answer. You will go through the same thing as well, especially if you do certain kind of news reports. This is what it's all about. This is what sells papers.
And maybe you'll answer it and not attack me. But
okay.
Let me try.
I haven't attacked you, brother.
But he has attacked him once, but once again, these techniques.
The Uncle Tom.
I didn't call you an Uncle Tom.
You haven't used it yet. But
so it's funny to think you haven't used it yet. That's an interesting statement. Very interesting statement, and that shows you the mindset, doesn't it? Where he's telling he's not best pleased. He's not best pleased because he feels that he might say something. And interesting.
Well, why accuse me of something I haven't done? You're just like they are in that instance, but you're not like that in other ways.
Well, here's the question. Besides the fact that you're an African American, what is the difference between you and David Duke?
The difference? Oh, that's a good question. No one has enslaved David Duke's people for over 400 years.
Very, very important that if you are going to debate publicly or talking shows, you understand some of these talking points and understand how to turn around. Because once again, comparing the victims of racism to the perpetrators of racism, and people who try to fix the legacy of racism to people who inflict it is inadequate behavior. Well, in his context, it's inadequate behavior, but in more so, it's more racist and planned. But let's see what the answer is.
Years. David Duke's people, the white people, have not been in slavery under us, chattel slavery. David Duke's people, the white people, have not been robbed of their names, their language, their religion, their culture, their God, their folkways, their mores, their norms, and indeed robbed of the very power of their own being. So David Duke's people are in power. My people have experienced an African Holocaust, genocide, and we are being set upon and seized upon on a daily and consistent basis. One of the 7 points is reparations, 7 points of action to go after
Now, I'm going to post a link in. If anyone wants to jump in, feel free. And if anyone wants to talk about the second topic, we haven't really covered it, about the dynamic of black people, black men and black women who are not really getting on. I was giving some videos to review, but I haven't. I didn't put them on this one. But we will be talking about the behavioral patterns at some point between very unruly black men and very unruly black women, as in the ways of how people represent themselves on a public platform or in some kind of talk, which actually really makes the argument hard to digest and swallow, and also, I guess, some of the ignorance in some things people say. But we'll tackle that when it comes. But I'm posting a link if anyone wants to jump in, carry on listening. We'll do a few more minutes of this.
Reparations
and
for
then
black people.
we call it a day early if no one wants to jump in. But it's definitely, if your homework is to I think I actually gave homework last week, didn't I? What was the homework to study? Maybe it was Black womanism. Was that the week before? I forget. My memory is as good as it once was.
People fighting police brutality and harassment and the murder of our people. David Duke's people don't experience that. There is no comparison.
Very important point. No comparison. Make sure if you debate anti-black racist or unsynchronized or compromised black people, you always state that.
Critics will say he spreads hate, and so do you.
Once again, one thing you have to understand, very important, black people, and this is something I have to learn, and you have to learn, and we have to learn, is historically black people don't harm anyone. There is no history of black people massacring other people based on their race or what it might be, especially as it pertains to the black-white dynamic as we find ourselves today. And this is a false equivalency, and this is very dangerous. And this is why I'd say black people definitely need to practice black betterment, because you can really brainwash people very cleverly, where the victims of violence are then accused of the same level of violence by trying to either defend yourself from violence or stay to yourself and fix your issues. And this is something that has been trained, but you have to train to have the answers for it. Never best, but let's carry on this.
Sir, I can't be responsible for what the critics say. I can only be responsible for the...
Another point, the brother Khalid Abdul conduct himself in the most professional way. I recommend this. This is, discernment, discipline, dedication, this kind of stuff. Very important we do this, because what will happen is your angry words will be used against you. Most of the people who I debate, they try to use name calling. Funny enough, what I might do as well is let me carry in place if I can find something.
Actual facts.
Let me talk about Mayor Giuliani for 1 second. You describe him as a cracker. You did it last year. You do it this year. But frankly, and you say you're a leader in the black community.
I didn't say that, sir. You said I'm a leader in the black community. Why are you giving me words here today?
Hasn't Rudy Giuliani...
Did I say I'm a leader in the black community, sir?
You have.
Did I say I'm a leader in the black community, sir?
You claim to be.
I have never said that, sir.
But can you answer my question?
But I don't want you to base your question on a false premise as you do when I'm not present. I'm here today.
When you hold a million youth march and you say you're going to have 50,000 people, as you did last year.
And we did have 50,000 people. You know we didn't have 6,000 people. And you follow what the city says? You parrot what Giuliani and Safer say?
I don't parrot what anyone says.
Well, where did you get the 6,000 figure?
I make my own observation.
But you just told me the city said it. Now you say you got it from your own observation. Now, which one is actually true, Mr. Dominique Carter?
What's actually true is I make my own observations from looking from up to down.
And you saw only 6,000 people, sir?
I didn't say what I saw.
How many did you see, sir?
But see, this is very interesting, because you're...
Brother, we love you. Don't do that. Let's hurry and get to your question.
My question is, you criticize Mr. Giuliani, but isn't the fact of the matter, Mr. Giuliani has done much more for Harlem than you ever have?
So very, very, very interesting way to put a question, but it is showing his kind of loyalty.
I would have to say that that's not only incorrect from my perspective, but there are many, many, many black people. You perhaps from your seat and however big or little your check is may not be able to say it, but there are many black people who would have to disagree with you, sir.
Well, from building up 125th Street.
He tore down 125th Street. He's brought in white merchants, white commercial interests who are biting up Harlem.
Isn't the object?
Excuse me, sir.
To have jobs.
But if you are like Giuliani and your political platform is based on from welfare to work, and looks like it's from welfare to farewell to black people, then you would work hard to make sure that black people can set up their own businesses, since you are supposed to be, according to this white politics, the mayor of all of the people. Don't bring in out.
I'm going to do something that I planned to do a few weeks ago, because obviously, as you know, and by all means, if you want to jump in the links there, as you know, I'm always active on social media talking, and many people who jump on the live is people I've interacted with, and if I wherever I find black people, I'm going to invite them to be constructive, but sometimes this causes issues. So there's some back context. The brother you saw me debating with earlier, within the Speaker's Corner, he's got a page and I follow it, and he's trying to promote his kind of new podcast that tackles multiple issues, and anything he's not best pleased with, he promotes. So good luck to the brother. And here's how we started speaking. I hope he doesn't mind. I'm gonna read the message back and forth. And so this is the part 2 conversation I've had with his brother in 3 years, who I follow his page. He's just started a new page. And I'm not going to put on no voices and try to do the whole performing arts reading. I'll just see if I can go through. So how we end up talking again was he was talking about he wasn't best pleased with women who dance naked and rap about certain kind of sexual stuff. And he was using very strong language. I don't really agree with that, but he wasn't best pleased. And I think a woman came on and said that what she finds is the inappropriate woman who behave in a certain kind of way, they end up attracting the same kind of man. So I messaged and I said, good points, and I agreed with that point there. He jumped in and said, if you don't F with my post, you ain't forced to be here. So I think there was he didn't agree that I agreed with someone in his comments, which is very new to me, but I have to try to be aware that maybe I'm missing certain things. So then I replied, the person made good points about picking similar types of people, and I asked, do you disagree with these points? And then next comment was, do you like my post, or are you a comment watcher, right? So once again, not answering the question, and maybe I've triggered something, and if I do trigger something, and the people I debate with in the digital land, let me know. I'm always willing to help people and try to help and promote. Let me know if there's things I do that isn't best pleasing. But once again, and I'm not saying this brother this way, but I am detecting a certain level of narcissistic behaviors, and this isn't. Some people don't like hearing this kind of stuff, but in the community it does exist, and hopefully we can offer advice if this behavior patterns become prevalent, and hopefully you're not doing things outside of your personal life that might make life more harder to actually progress. But let's carry on reading, like the script. So let's see what we have as so I moved on to say, I don't agree with the language you use of this post, but I agree there is value in women conducting themselves in honorable ways. If you do not, if you do a post, I agree with you. I will like it. Now my question to you, do you agree with the comment in the post? So I'm asking, do you agree with what the lady said? He then goes on to say, this isn't a back and forth. I observe people, I think he's going to say other day. No, I observe people other day. You're promoting yourself in the comments. Mate, jog on with all that. This isn't Speaker's Corner. So he remembers me from Speaker's Corner, it looks like. And I think he was not best pleased that I have networked with people in the comments saying, as I do everywhere I go, if I debate with people in the comment section, I will always invite them to the show. Only once I've talked and they've said things I feel that they might benefit the show. And I'm sure there might be some people live who come from some comment in some kind of app. And by all means, do this in my comments. any way you connect with black people to talk about Betterment and to practice it, I recommend. And if you need me to help you network, I'm always willing. But once again, not everyone agrees with these philosophies, as you clearly see. But we shall carry off the script and the play that happened. This is wait. So I said my response was, I do this on my page. I go when I'm trying to help black people. You're welcome to promote whatever you like on any of my platforms. So I've invited him to my platform to promote his stuff. I don't know your history, but you have the spirit of distrust. So I said you have a spirit of trust. I think this is very true. If you want me to act in a way that is to the liking of the page, just let me know. Some people they prefer people to maneuver somewhere on their page, and if that's the case, let me know, because obviously people, they treat the digital world very differently. Fair enough. If not, I will continue to help black people. This is my message. His response was, you cannot help black people by commenting on a post unrelated stuff. I have my own business. You ain't helped me one bit. So yeah, my vibe speakers corner on my post. We have discussed this in real life. Don't act like you don't know man's energy. Don't know where that came from. And he came back with, no, I don't trust people. So obviously this brother probably has a history of not being trusted, and obviously this is what's happening. So I carried on saying, yes, since we first spoke, you have an open self-projecting behavior pattern that I suspect is a product of your own history. Everything I comment on in your post will be connected to Black Betterment. I'm happy for you to promote your platform on my platform, and even have even a talk if it will be constructive. Also, would you like professional branding assistance? So I've offered him a service. I have spent many years in branding and this kind of stuff. So, and he's starting a new page, a new brand. I'm more than happy to talk to him and offer advice. He's a brother, and hopefully, as long as his stuff is constructive, why not? Let's see what he says. Forget all that. Let's have a sit down, because there's many methods I believe you are doing incorrect. So the brother isn't best pleased with some things I'm doing, and that's cool, and that's very important to say. So I said that would be helpful feedback and would be helpful to black people. Do you believe good ideas? Helpful to people should never be said? I read that very funny, but I'm sure of it. And he goes, I know your method of conversation. So once again, there is a spirit of distrust coming here. This same person, let's read out what's in the comments. Do not get confused. This same person, this is from Dominic Smith. Let me put on the screen just to make it a bit more visual. This same person that is talking called me a sellout and said I'm the reason the black community won't prevail, all because I didn't agree with his post or opinion. Oh, is that the same person? Okay. Well, once again, so obviously this brother might be notorious for this kind of self-indulgent behavior, and he's always welcome, if you know him, to come on to, just as long as he practice discipline, he's welcome. And I said, are you telling me to trust strangers? Oh, this is him, sorry. You telling me to trust strangers, you sound like a big fool. So this is his technique, what he does a lot, and rather than cool names, he'll use sound like and this kind of stuff. A very interesting behavior of talking, but if this is what rocks his boat, go ahead. And I said, no, trust is a building process. This is me, by the way. I'm happy to lay the first brick. Yes, I am with all self-claiming constructive black people. However, if they are poisoned by their past and show self-sabotaging behavior, then the building stops and the healing process needs to begin. And I asked him, would you say you are in the building zone or healing zone? Once again, a question. I'm just finding out what the brother is. And his response is, can't use manipulation tactics on me. I have studied psychology. I suspect he's lying, but maybe he has. Best thing you can do is miss me with that. If you want to talk openly on my podcast and let me challenge what you're on, cool. If not, I'm with the bag of I'm with the bag of manipulation, reverse psychology tactics you use. That's on the weak-minded individuals. So this brother obviously thinks I'm some kind of Jedi mind trick kind of person, this kind of stuff. Now, obviously, I'm well aware this brother has challenges now, but still, being kind is necessary. And maybe he's right. Maybe I am doing bad things, and if I am, I should correct myself, because mistreating black people is not correct. I suspect if this is how this guy behaves, maybe at some point in his past or maybe in his present, he might be practicing mistreatment of black people, even from some kind of emotional standpoint, just by the way he processes information. But I could be wrong, and the brother's welcome to come on. Anyway, what have I said? I'm sorry, I'm now reading the script. This is the Tales from the Digital, so we can have a section Tales from the Digital. All right, so we carry on. So we did speak for quite a long time, it looks like here. All right, well, after that said, once again, maybe I should change the video just to give a different.
So when it's time for prayer,
Stop. I'm gonna go there. There you go. Let's have a nice thing there. Just back to it. So I'm happy to jump on your. Once again, you might be a product. Oh, I said project. That's bad spelling. You might be a product of your past. Oh no, this might be a project of your past defense mechanism and challenge only you currently practicing. Okay, tongue twister there. I'm happy to jump on your podcast, and you're welcome to jump on mine anytime. I'm still confused what your major objection to my methods are. However, I'm sure you will tell me in all due time. Let me know the time and link and I'll jump on. His response: stop telling me about me. You ain't no psychologist and you ain't the savior for black people. I remember him saying that before. Do you think you're the savior of black people? So once again, it's showing his mindset, So, but we'll carry on. For black people, maybe you are suffering from inferior complex light-skinned boy thing. So once again, the whole light-skinned dancing kind of thing. Once again, I always tell black people in general, name calling doesn't really. It's like I am actually gifted and cursed with the disconnection technique where I just don't really feel things like that. So it won't really work with me. But what is effective is to actually answer questions. So let's see what he carries on saying. All right, maybe you okay. And then a sister jumped in and said, maybe you can both come to my show, to which I agreed. I said, sure. Here's my response to the sister. Maybe, wait a minute. Oh no, well, I spoke to him first. I said, maybe I am, and so I've answered, maybe I am, all you say I am, and maybe you have a past trauma that awakens when you speak to me. This could be, I'm always thinking that sometimes I might look like someone who traumatized someone in the past, this kind of thing, and it happens. And no matter what you say, because you remind them of a past incident, they're never happy. But also at the same point, seeing someone do something that you're not doing, this could be a problematic stuff. But once again, the brother show he might be suffering from narcissistic tendencies. Hope not, because it's hard to reach those kind of brothers. But if he is, we can recommend certain kind of treatment. You're welcome to talk to me about these points on Black Betterment broadcast this Friday. I gave him the time. The context can be, and here's the context: do black people struggle to communicate collectively or constructively? Actually, sorry. Would you be interested in such a talk? Also, what would the context be in your show? So also, before you jump on people's show, always establish your context. Very important, because sometimes the context might be trying to belittle you. He's already shown these kind of tendencies, but maybe that was just a mistake or his style. But have a context, because that context becomes about name calling and personal traits, when really black people progressing should be the context, all right? Or something similar. Okay, now carry on. I'm happy to do this Black Betterment is hard to show. Oh, so I've said to the woman who's invited onto her show, I'm happy to do this if Black Betterment is at the heart of the show and the show is black run or black hosted. So I just said that I'm happy to jump on any show, but let's make sure that it's black run and it has black at the center, because no point me jumping head to head. It just doesn't make sense. But that's just me. And then someone jumped in. And they had the 10 pence piece. So we'll skip that. And then, maybe we can't, because maybe he's. So, okay, let me carry on to the tale. So a new brother jumped in. I won't change the voice to make it more clear, but some next person jumped in, proud him, and said, but why wouldn't he be disrespectful if you didn't come openly in the first place? I didn't know what that meant, so I said, explain what you mean by come openly. I don't understand the question. Very true. If a person such as myself say I don't understand something, this is very true. But once again, the distrusting kind of semi-narcissistic behavioral patterns will show itself very soon. And then the brother jumped in and said, I was just saying that we should openly acknowledge the post first before advertising our own business, but I'm looking forward to all you are setting up and talking about for betterment of our people. And that's a very good point. If a person thinks I'm spamming stuff on people's page, this is not correct behavior at all. And how I like to interact and how I recommend people answer is talk with black people, whether it's digitally, physically, or spiritually, right? Talk to them. And if you network and you find any kind of report or any kind of like, disagreements, invite them to a platform you'll do and have a conversation. And this is a very important strategy. I promote it. I do it all the time. But funny enough, the reason why this brother approached me is because I was doing this live in the flesh, and he didn't like it physically. And now he's obviously not best pleased because I do it digitally. But he does have a case because this was his actual digital platform, his actual space. So that I have to respect that. But anyway, he then jumped in afterwards and said, "Look how you answer questions like a politician. I understand everything that was written. You act stupid and answer questions with questions. People be careful of these individuals, wolves in sheep's clothing." So that's what he said. Once again, those kind of narcissistic tendencies come up. But he's what it is. Okay, so I've got a long speech here. Let me carry on. Let's see, still got time. Yep. Your behavior seems to be young energy. This is very important, my friend. I have no idea why you behave this way. However, when we first spoke, you projected false claims and a collection of black people openly disagree with you and question your motivations. You was alone then and will continue to be alone in your behavioral patterns if your behavioral patterns don't change. I spend my life helping our people. I have no idea why this troubles you so, ? You will always notice I try to be solution-based. If you can find a person who has said I mistreat them or lied, let them speak. Also, if you have credible people who say you are constructive, let them speak for you. Now, this is one of those kind of things I do, right? I spent my entire life being constructive and dedicated to helping black people. Yes, because it's what you should be doing, really. But also because it's so easy for a person to preach falsehood and manipulate people and then have to hide in the shadows. There's nothing I do have to hide in the shadows. If a black person isn't best pleased with how I'm operating, let them speak. But in the many years I've with my consistency, I've never come across it. Maybe this brother has, and let him come forward. Anyway, what else he said? Let me speak for you. I will make this clear. I am solution-based, so let's try to talk in a way that matches this, or all our talks will be a wheel of confusion. Our people's needs are bigger than my ego. This is what I've said. He's going to go, bro, I see straight through you. So once again, his distrust is on alert. And I say, you will always talk this way, maybe because you see in me something you are not doing, ? Potentially. But you can be if you really want to. Remember, I have never backed away from a constructive talk about black women. One day you will join in, but only when your words match your actions. Very important. Many of the naysayers in the black community do not do anything, and that's why they have no one rooting for them, because all they have is either destructive words or no works, and this is why things have to be marked, and that's why this question, you don't know me, people know me, this kind of stuff, blah blah. What is? And then his fingers, okay, little man. So obviously maybe I hit him hard now, I don't know. I'll be here when you're ready to. This is me now. I'll be here when you're ready to help our people, no matter the ego. That can change whatever. And then the brother came in. I have helped my people more than you ever have. So once again, when you talk to many of these black naysayers and drive-by criticism guys, they will always have this mystery work they do. Mystery work, innit? I have helped my people more than you. It's a very schoolyard way of doing things. It literally lends itself to any kind of conversation where you can go, I make more than you. Things that you can't quantify, innit? Trust me, people know what I'm doing. You can't really quantify this kind of stuff. But once again, in the entry-level speaker, this is top-notch, and we have to train them that they need to really fix up their dialogue skills and actually do the work. Very important. Do the work is important. All right. Okay. And now we'll get to the end of the play, but I shall go on. Here we go. Once again, this looped way of talking is young. We're just highlighting that this young behavior isn't best coming for black people by pushing forward. You practice make believe, and I challenge you to love black people. That's another thing, a technique I'm going to try to push forward. And very rarely do I want black people to be, well, yes and no, competition to be competition based and that kind of competitive. That's the correct word. But something I'm thinking is, I think it should be necessary for black people to challenge black people in the art of helping black people. I think that's okay. I'm pushing for that. I think it's okay for you to have a competitive spirit when it comes to helping black people. I think that could be important. Let's read the messages. A person that is doing less than you can never say what they're doing, otherwise they will be exposed. Of course, we know this, but once again, entry-level speakers who see good works, they don't know they're the victim, potentially, of this kind of training unless they're deliberately trying to sabotage, which is, there's a reason behind that. Anyway, what was that? The next time we speak, you will have brothers and sisters speak for you, but you don't trust nobody, maybe because you're not yet known as a person who can be trusted. Very important point. Maybe people can't trust him. How do I know this? Because I'm in the field every day, and all you can do is throw negative words. Being negative is an illness. Only kind realness can fix this. But you must ask for help and come out of the shadows. And he came. He said, "Come live now." I think he did a live, but I missed it, unfortunately. So he said, when I clicked on there, it wasn't live. And then I said, "Okay, we'll come tomorrow at 10 p.m. today, which is now." And he says, "Busy. I have a life." And I said, "Look, you can come anytime. It's every Friday." And then he goes, "Bro, you are scared to come on Rare Talks, which must be his platform. Google that, support him if you can. Say it. I don't need my followers to debate or challenge anything. I can do it on my own. Remember that little man." So he's got this little man thing going, this light skin thing going on as well. It's very back and forth. Maybe it's a nickname he wants to push forward. Who knows? Or maybe it's narcissistic behavior, or maybe it's just a comedian that we're not getting the jokes. But once again, for those naysayers in the black community, if you want to hurt me, name calling won't do. I'm completely separated from it. I'm almost like a robot. I wish I was more, connected to those kind of things. The best thing you can do is outdo me as a black bearer. And once again, my endorphins will explode when I see black people helping black people. The thing with me is seeing black people doing better is what I like seeing. And the good thing is I don't need to be a part of the process. So if this brother tomorrow became the world's greatest black bearer, the world's greatest black helper, then that would be good. And I would put him up on a pedestal, and we would praise him and thank him. And he would have unlimited benefits in my books for the good work he does. And that's how I operate. So name calling won't really get around that. All right, so where are we? Okay. I'm happy to jump on the live. Give me a date and time so we can book in. Also, Friday, 10 p.m. You must forgive me as well, guys, because you probably get people who do slight digs and I just ignore it. And it's probably waiting for, why did you just ignore this stuff? Why is it coming? Because I don't really notice it. It's almost comedy to me, which is weird. But the more you help black people, the more you expect to be mistreated. I know it sounds weird. And because you understand on a high level the trauma black people are dealing with. And why name calling, colorism, all that other stuff comes into play. It's a sickness that we have to work on, but the people who are going to be dedicated to fixing it have to almost be immune to it, because it's a tempest that they try to throw out for you to get trapped in, and it doesn't work with me, as you see if you with my live speak. Anyway, so I've said yeah, blah blah, jump in, and then you chat a good talk. But when I offered last night, you told me about today. So he's going there. The more I talk to you, the more of a fraud you appear. Very strong words, fraud. Very strong words. So I think my last word to him was this, and this is the end of the full stop, and it's coming right to the end of the show. So this is the last thing I said was, what is it? It was, I appear as a fraud to a fraudulent. All right, I appear as a fraud to the fraudulent. And anyone who sees these texts or live interactions can see you're running in circles. We have two platforms to speak. When and if you are ready to challenge me to the ideas I push forward for betterment, I'm ready. I'm not smarter than you. I'm just more experienced in the ways of black betterment because I've been practicing the lifestyle longer than you. And I no longer use young behavior patterns when doing betterment work. These are the patterns we try to set a date to talk when you name call. When then it repeats. These behaviors tends to stop by the age of 17, 21. These patterns do not help black people. And I said today at 10 p.m. and next week at 10 p.m. when you're ready. I set up a live stream and let's pick a day. So the pattern you're going to see there, right, is I'm constantly asking the brother to tell me what he does, and I'm constantly asking the brother to, let come on the thing, and he doesn't. These are young behaviors. Obviously, you experience viewers and speakers see them, and you will be hit with the constant loop of confusion. You see, where people come in and their goal is to cause confusion. Their goal is to cause some kind of rift, and the name calling thing is there. And this is the thing: when you generally love black people and you generally get a good feeling from black people doing well, and you want to see black people progress, you forget about the times where that wasn't normal. And unfortunately, in so many of our people, this is the case. This reminds me of back. I was born and raised in East London, and East London has a huge grime and hip hop and scene, like that. One of the foundations of grime, this kind of stuff. And a lot of the guys who did grime went to my school and college, and we were in the same kind of shows and stuff. But what I would notice is, because a lot of them guys were coming from the hood and poor environments and getting on very young, the majority of, well, not majority, that's the bad thing, but many of brothers who were from the same kind of working background would actively hate. Like, it was a dedicated hate. It was hate and threats of, if I see this guy, I'm going to do this and take this and do that. And this was very consistent. And this is what I'm saying. This brother might come from that world. This brother might come from that world. We don't know. And when you cleanse yourself of such behaviors, when you actually become cured of such evil ills created by anti-black racists, and you actually have the opposite. You actually want to see people good. You're happy to see your community doing well, even though you yourself are doing bad. When you cleanse yourself of such feelings, you forget that was even in existence. So when you're around it, it's like you're trying to hit someone with the same peaceful spirit you're in, but they're still there. That's why you find when I talk to brothers such as this, I'm constantly trying to be solution-based, and I'm trying to help them, but they're so stuck in their dedication to anti-black sabotagement and this kind of stuff that it's like, you just can't really connect. So I do challenge you brothers out there, if you are in that kind of state, by all means come on, and you will find that no matter how much you try to do name calling or dedication to pain giving, this kind of stuff, it won't work, because it's almost like trying to explain how to swim to a person who can't swim. Until you love black people, until you really love black people and you love black Betterment, you'll never understand it. It'll just be like alien science or JavaScript, or a connection of both, But yeah, it's weird. And that's why when you actually fully cross over and you hit this kind of way of thinking, you literally can't be offended by anything black people say to you directly. If you haven't experienced that, hopefully through these shows you will pick up on my behavior patterns, and you'll be cleansed of, because you have a deeper understanding of why people have self-hate. And once again I say it, even though people have to be accountable for their actions, you realize all this was by design. And ultimately, there was people behind this kind of programming. And it's to them, if there is any hate, you should push it. But we've come to a fantastic end of a show. I hope you guys have had a thorough lesson in breaking down the two types. Let me go back to the thing with you. There we go. Voila, before we close down. If you got any big ups or anything you want to say, a last shots, let you say now or forever hold your peace. Okay, so here's a question. So do you keep interacting with people that mindset? Do you keep interacting with people with that mindset, bro, Raven? So people aren't. So here's what it is. There is such thing as energy vampires, right? This is a term people use. And what happens, because someone is so negative that they can actually draw you away, from doing creative work. So I make two distinctions. When I'm doing Betterment work, I'm with Betterment people, and we're constructing stuff. But if there is a person who's negative, I approach them in a very different way. I put them in the bracket of healing, as in I might dedicate time to try to offer them healing if they accept it. And once again, the more you're in the healing stage, you have to emotionally disconnect. This is, a lot of people call me a robot when I'm in Speaker's Corner. You will never know that I've been acting and performing for 20 years, because I come across like I have no personality. But the thing is, you cannot emotionally engage with those who are dedicated to destruction. You can't do it, because the brothers will use your emotions to undermine you. This is what they'll do. They'll try to find your kryptonite, or the black equivalent, and this is what this brother, I suspect, is doing with name calling. With the history of trauma in black people, if you call them the colorist word, and they use certain techniques like you sound like this and you look like that, normally this is what will trigger people off. But yeah, once again, you have to understand the history of it. Understand why people do that. Understand who trained people to do that. Understand the self-hate that comes from. And understand that deep down, these people, it's a cry for help. Yeah? It's a cry for help. So once again, the context when we talk is always how can we help black people, and we have to remember it's ideas over individuals. This is something that people forget. What in the early days when we were watching a lot of these people progress and stuff, people made it individual. They hated the particular person because they looked like them and they were making money or they were successful, and they wasn't. And how you have to split that is the idea is if one brother can make it, then we all can make it. But it is. But good night, everyone. Hopefully you guys can jump in. Any more questions? Let me ask questions. Do you think you have hate themselves when they do? Do you think they hate themselves when they do this, Raven? Yes. Yeah, and this is why there's lots of things we can, but maybe we have to do a show about this, to be honest, right? Because it's something I'm very familiar with. But there is definitely a form of self-hatred, and also, unfortunately, there is a certain sense of unhealthy narcissism. But people say all narcissism is unhealthy, but this I wouldn't pull it past. My real concerns when you have people who behave this way isn't necessarily what they say openly to people like me. It isn't like because I'm immune to this kind of stuff. What does bother me is I suspect, and I would like to be wrong in this conclusion, but I very rarely am. My real concern is if that's how they're behaving publicly to a person who's doing good deeds as they see it, then I suspect they could be doing damaging things to themselves and to other people. And this is my concern of why I try to teach forms of self-love. But it's something we should cover in the future. So the question now is kind of like catch-22. It kind of makes sense to be a robot-like, but then it increased the distract with those who are already distrustful. Yeah, of course. But here's what I find. Consistency is one of the best things. Most people who come across me, they might be standoffish because, they see me do this, see me that, blah, blah, blah. But through dedicated interaction with a person such as myself, hopefully through practicing, what they should see is dedication and commitment and consistency. And the thing is, like with all relationships, sometimes you can't actually remember what a person does for you, but you can remember how they make you feel. And essentially, the more consistent you are with your betterment, this is what happens. And this is the hardest point you have to learn. And this is something I try to teach some of in the collective groups I'm in. It could take 5 years to gain someone's trust and then 5 minutes to lose it. That's why we have to be very careful of how we insert. And that's why this brother, I said quite strong things to me, but I still have love for him and I still would like him to do better. And the only thing I ask, by all means, say horrible things if it makes you feel better towards me, but don't harm yourself or others. And if you have harmed others, please be dedicated to fixing that. Because I offer my hand out to any black person starting a business or to this kind of, and I recommend it. However, if someone is self-harming, harming others, whether it's mentally or physically or all the other leads, before I can do any kind of networking, I have to make sure this is correct. This is just how it is. And this is how I can't, because what happens is a lot of the people who dislike me, they don't necessarily dislike me for the things I do. They dislike me because I network with people who they dislike. And then they tarnish the behaviors of someone else or me. Most of the death threats I've ever got through my active works all of them, I should say. All death threats I've ever got comes from working with other people who have said harsh things online or shouted at someone, and then I'm drawn into it. This kind of stuff. But this is part of the game. You have to get used to it. If you want to help black people, you have to understand that you're going to get threats. Here we go. There's a saying as well: consistent in being inconsistent. Yeah, there are some people this how they practice. Now, family, we have hit the 12 o'clock mark. You guys have been good. Unfortunately, we only had one person jump in, and I think their disconnect went. And I don't like rambling for 2 hours because I'm sure it's not entertaining that one bit. But hopefully, I can give you. Let us try to also make this stuff questions is good. I'm going to try to show people how I behave when it comes to trying to help black people and some of the challenges. Because I understand some people might watch me speak at school, and I'm so immune to it that this is normal to me. But some people might be very put off with trying to help black people when you see some of the actions. And remember, the vast majority of people are generally cool, but we only ever see the one or two confused, sabotage-based people. and we shouldn't really base our opinions upon the minority. But they're observed and they do go public, so we have to now deal with them. And hopefully, if you have questions, I can show you how to deal with them, right? But we should do a part 2 to this. Okay, well, if you guys want, next week, sure, why not? There is bags and bags of videos of people trying to undermine me. Maybe what we'll tackle next week is the quickness that black people will do to harm another black person in the defense of a non-black person. So recently, what we saw with the whole white yardie thing is, I don't know if you're aware of it, there's a European gentleman who was born in Jamaica who has a very Jamaican accent. And I think he got in the back and forth with another black individual, maybe a Jamaican or African, I can't remember where they're from. But people were jumping in defense of the white yard individual, and people making threats, but people make threats all the time. But I think I'm more concerned about the patterns of it and how black people might actually, might be, programmed to defend non-black people in black conflicts. And if you watch my Speaker's Corner stuff, many of the Asian individuals and that kind of stuff, they would have like black friends who they network through mosques and culture, this kind of stuff. And whenever things pop off, you tend to get that like the black person jumping in and this kind of stuff. And we study why that is. This is the thing. Much work to do with black people, but like I said, if we don't do it, who's going to do it, right? So until that, if anything else, just let me know now. But next week, because we have a request and we always do a request, we shall do a part 2 of the sabotages, and we shall interview more. I think what I'm also going to show as well is, I know I showed it before, but getting 2 black people on the platform fighting is a no-no. I think moving forward, I think Frances Cress Welsing said she definitely does not recommend more than 1 black person go on any show anytime. Yeah, because the show then can become a bickering, squabbling session, and there is much truth to what she's saying. But I'm saying, if you are going to go on a controversial black show where you're the only black people, whatever it is, and it isn't black run, definitely there, then you need to be codified and you need to be dedicated to constructive solutions and try not to name call and this kind of stuff. But we shall see there. But I'm now going to go and do some more work. It's late. I have to go. You guys are fantastic and great. One more question before we go. There we go. When you do that kind of comparison, that's crazy how quick and degree we bring down our own. But the white yardie people will break their black to defend. Yep. And that's another thing. In this show, we're gonna make patterns, and hopefully, obviously, we're throwing videos and JPEGs and all this stuff. But hopefully, we can see the patterns, because patterns are important. Patterns are important, and we can learn so much from patterns and these consistencies of the patterns. And one more, juicy topic, but we're defending him or taking fact. It could be agreed that we are saying the white man born in ain't Jamaican, so that would be we have no rights in the UK too. So once again, I don't get into the whole thing of is he Jamaican, not Jamaican. If you see a lot of I think some of the biggest videos that I've been thrown on are debates between our North Africans, African and black, this kind of stuff. And obviously, there's a lot of people in North Africa who are not best pleased with some of the dialogue that black people are saying. And that's why it goes around the world and everyone gets upset. This whole passport thing and culture thing, it's not in my interest of saying it. That's why I make very distinctions of trying to identify black people, African people, whatever, regardless of where they find themselves. So the lifestyle we're promoting, whether you're a black person who lives in Jamaica, or a black person who lives in England, this lifestyle is for you. And yes, Jamaica's going to have Chinese people, white people, and England's going to have black people and African people, whatever it might be. I'm not going to go in that circle. I'm going to talk about the psychology and the mindset of why black people see this and then jump on the, let's attack black people kind of stuff, where it comes from and how and all good stuff. Let's see one more thing. Yeah, very true. As you said, you're passionate. True, and everyone's talking to themselves. So let me go now, and I want to keep you guys behind. You've been fantastic. Hopefully, you'll tell a friend to be a friend of the podcast. Also, if you have opinion, it's yours taste. We want black people to come on here. Please study how we communicate, and also in the intro we have what do we have? We have guidelines of how to communicate. Hopefully, we can teach ourselves how to better talk to ourselves, and we can be the starting movement or a fraction of that to actually trendify. I don't know if that's a word. constructive interaction with black people. It's not so much argument, it's the behavior. There you go. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to press end now, family. So I hope you guys have a good sleep and enjoy your weekend. And try to be constructive and practice black betterment, black people, black issues. And yeah, remember what I said that the final word is this: it's okay to challenge other people who loves people more, who loves black people more. So whenever a naysayer comes to you, go, I challenge you to love black people more than me. End of story. End of broadcast. Goodbye.